Hi guys, it's Mena, and today in this video I'm finally telling you guys the story of how I went through chemo. This is probably like my 5th or 6th attempt. So I'm going to get started, and if you guys have any questions, leave them down below, and I'm not going to answer them after the video because it's going to take too much time. And I'll probably do a question and answer video later on. So I'm going to get started. So it all started on August 23rd when I came back when I was 12 years old in 2004, when I came back from visiting my grandpa in another part of California. And I told my mom that my knee hurt when I touched it, and she told me not to touch it. And then, let me think. I'm sorry. And then my mom was taking pictures on the first day of and touching. She said not to touch it, and we thought it was from all the running that I did, because I used to get up and run with my mom. And then all of a sudden my mom starts taking pictures on the first day of school, and she noticed that my knee looked a little bit bigger and it was hot. So we went to the doctor, and they said just to ice it, and they thought it was just from all the running I did. And then my mom and then it still wasn't working because I was complaining about the pain. And then we made another appointment with another doctor, and then he was asking my mom questions about what happened. And then we got sent to the x-ray. And then and they were taking and then the x-ray technician says we need to take the x-rays to the doctor. And my mom gets mad and tells them that he wanted them to keep them, and we're just both completely confused about what's going on. And they come back, they couldn't find the doctor, and they were acting all strange, and my mom still didn't know what was going on. And then my mom finds the doctor and tells them that they were trying to get a hold of him, so he checks his messages, and he tries to call them. And they told me and they wanted my mom to keep me out of the school the next day. And my mom's like, it's the second day of school. And I was like, it's the second day of school. Why am I missing the second day of school? Well, and my mom was like completely confused. And she was telling all our friends and family about what was going on. And then we had an MRI appointment in Walnut Creek, and we were completely confused, and we're like what's? And we were just completely confused, and we were freaking out and everything. And then my mom's like, what? My mom was asking what they saw, and they said they saw something in my knee in the lower femur. So if you guys see this huge scar right here, this is where I had my cancer in this knee. And she calls my stepdad at work, and my stepdad comes home right away, and they take me to go with my mom to Walnut Creek, and they take me with them too. And then we're waiting for the MRI. and that I probably had cancer. I had possible cancer, osteogenic sarcoma, which is the cancer I had in my knee. My mom was like freaking out and everything. My mom goes with me to get my MRI, and during the MRI they want to give me a needle, and this is when I freaked out with needles. It took like 10 people to hold me down. I'm like, no, I hate needles. I really hated needles. I'm not lying. And then I would scream bloody murder. They tried to get several people to do it, but it just wasn't working. And then they went to the CT. I can't remember what CT stands for, to get the needle, but then I still wouldn't take it. And as we were leaving, they walk into the parking lot and they want to scan without the CT. And then we're really scared about what's going on. And they scheduled us for during that time they were scheduling us for 2 appointments, and we had one in San Francisco, and then we had another appointment with another doctor. I think it was also in San Francisco. I don't remember because it doesn't say in here. And then my stepdad and my dad come along, and the nurse was nice, and the surgeon was wonderful. Well, and he tells us that I have osteogenic sarcoma, and they found the cancer. And they scheduled me for a biopsy, and I was like freaking out because it was my first surgery. I had never had surgery on me. I was like crying and everything, and I didn't want to get the surgery. And my parents needed me to get it just for the purpose. I'm sorry, I had to laugh at this thing that my mom wrote down. It was kind of funny. And then my mom and dad, I'm like, have no clue what's going on, and my mom and dad are trying to tell me what's going on. And then I go and get my biopsy for the tumor, and they were going to give me a needle with it, but then my mom explained how I hated needles, so they just did this stuff called anesthesia. So anesthesia, I bet a lot of you know what anesthesia is. Anesthesia is a type of gas that they give you when you're getting surgery so that you don't, see what's going on when you're getting the surgery. Hold on 1 minute. Sorry, my alarm went off. And then I got the biopsy, and the incision was really tiny. It was like this big. I don't have the incision anymore because my scar covered it up. And then another thing they were talking about, another thing the anesthesiologist was going to give, okay, so yeah, sorry, not the anesthesiologist, sorry, 1 minute, I'm trying to get to the spot. And then I had to get a tube in my. The next thing we know is I had to get a tube in my chest. Yes, and then I'm like, and then people come over and start being really nice and stuff. Even though everyone is nice to me, To me, I was like confused, and I felt bad for my sister and brother because they weren't getting, because my sister usually gets all the attention. I felt so bad. And then I was lucky they caught my cancer early, because if it was late, I would have died. And then they put me, they had to, during chemo, before I started chemo, they had to put this thing called a Broviac in my chest. It was a catheter, it was a catheter. So Broviac is a type of catheter they would give me through chemo. They put in my chest during chemo, and I do have the scar, but it's somewhere personal, and I'm not going to show it to you guys. And it would through the main chamber of my heart, and during chemo they would give me my meds through it, so they wouldn't have to poke me all the time. Like, they draw my blood through it, they give me my chemo medications. What's another thing? Brain fade, I'm sorry. So that's the only thing they do is give me my meds and draw my blood through it so they wouldn't have to poke me all the time. It was pretty cool. And then okay, so I'm pretty sure it was September 12th I started chemo medications. Actually, when I first started my chemo medications, this is funny. My cousins and my aunt and uncle came over. And then my grandparents came over. And, well, they came and visited me. This was when I was not in the hospital. But after I got my Broviac in my chest, my cousins all came and visited me, which is really nice. I loved seeing all my family and my aunt and uncle. So it was really nice. And then what sucks was when I was in the hospital is that the doctors had to make them leave because there were too many people in the room. So we got moved to the family room and we spent a lot of time together. But then they had to go home because the nurses kicked them out. It really stunk. And then my grandparents would come and visit, and then everyone was bringing gifts, and I didn't know why they brought me gifts. And I was like, what's going on? And my neighbor was very supportive, too.